wondering if I have to refresh it or. I don't know how it looks up there. Can you see it? I guess you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add a new section. I'm going to split them this time. This is dynamics, right? I can't even see the words. How about just DYN? That's good enough. So essentially, what I've decided to do is I don't want to go into too much detail, but I've had some trouble over the last couple of semesters with the way, I guess there's a little bit of a delay, the way things have played out. So I decided that probably the best thing to do is, give me a second here, is to continue the way I've been doing, but go ahead and I'm going to have to relaunch this because it has some default pages, and part of the default pages, let me do it again. We can try it again. Here we go. There we go. It'll take a second. So there's a little bit of a delay. So this is going out and then coming back on the stream, and the stream is picking up there. So oh, I don't need that. I actually only need, don't need that. I don't need that. That I probably need. Yes. I don't know if I need the first one, but let me log into Blackboard. So you'll have to pardon the 10-second delay there. So well, I don't know if that's the new password or not. Apparently it is. Okay, thinking. I have to refresh it again. Let me see what's happening over here. That's okay. There we go. Give me a second here. It's interesting to watch how delayed it is. So the university has made the decision. The university's made the decision that this is hosted on a off-campus site on Amazon thing. All right, it just did it here. Let's see how long it takes. Wow, this is going to go slow. I'm not getting the big white circle here. What's the white circle all about? Oh, there it's gone. The pink circle is the blackboard thing. But I have no idea what the white circle is all about. Okay. All right. I should have brought some refreshment for myself. All right, something happened here. All right, now that I'm up over here. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take for that to. Has this been slower than before? Have you noticed? I mean, have y'all logged in or is it about the same? All right, I got that far. Now, let me go on all the way to the bottom and do, I think it's customizations, property. There'll be a delay in what I'm saying. Not that this part is that important, but okay. Okay, come on. Use term availability. So, okay, so this is delayed behind what I just did. So I just made the Blackboard shell available. Let me go through when it catches up. So all I'm doing there is I'm just trying to get down to the area right there, which basically makes it available, which means now you can go to Blackboard and get into this thing. So previously I did things a little bit different than I'm going to do this semester, and I'll show you what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you why. So now I'm going to go to content. Give me a second, or give it a second. Okay, so I'm at content here. Let it go to content there. I might as well. Well, it's going to be a delay anyway. The delay is because of the network. I guess if I could, it really doesn't matter today. So what I've decided to do, okay, it's going to be weird if you go back and look at the live stream because there's going to be delays associated with everything. I decided to use the textbook site. And so there's two things that's advantageous, actually three, but two of them that are important. One is it's actually hosted off in a larger scheme of things than where we are. In other words, the textbook site probably has 30,000 or so users, and it's a much larger entity than we are. And it actually, I think the thing, I'm doing it for all the classes because I think what's been happening, I'll give you a one case in point. I picked out a test a few years ago that I gave a few years ago and gave it 2 semesters ago. Professors take the view, and I've heard them say before that there are a wide range of views. Everything to where you have to almost essentially hold everyone's hand to you have to beat everyone's hand. And I think, to me, my view is it should not matter who I am. If you go to a class and it really does matter who the professor is, maybe there's a problem. So, I mean, you know who my name is, so I probably won't even tell you who I am, but because I might change my name in the middle of the semester, who knows? But the key is, it really shouldn't matter. The material is the material. I mean, I know you, and I'll touch on this for a few seconds, and then I'm never going to talk about it again. There's so many different voices out there. There's political voices where people are fighting each other, and there's social voices. But in the world of engineering, the laws have been around for several hundred years, and they keep being obeyed because we can't change them. If we could change the laws of physics, the universe would be so screwed up it wouldn't exist. So the key is I don't like to talk about politics. That's off the table. I don't like to talk about social stuff. That's off the table. But the physical laws keep being obeyed. They've been obeyed since we figured them out. The fact that we've been able to figure it out is pretty miraculous. So the material is the material. It really doesn't matter. So my goal, I see, is to be able to place a pathway that you need to go through to get there. And so the way I'm going to do this is, of course, I'm going to come in and do the streaming lecture. The other thing is, and I think it might just automatically sign me in. I'll show you what one of the emails I got. Got it this morning. I don't know. Did it work even? Yeah, it did work. Is that me in the background? Yeah. Put that off. Okay, hang on. That'll make somebody mad now. Some of them won't know why the volume is on. So I get this email. And so this is another thing. Okay, so I just got the Blackboard notification. So you'll get this thing too. It should say, okay, the new items are available, whatever. Let me see. Attendance policy. So these are the type of emails I get. And I don't know if anybody's ever showed you this. So this is not this class, but I get them for every class. It says attendance is required by the August 31st. Okay, and you'll receive it. It also says, okay, so if you look at this first, attendance is measured by physical attendance, submission of assignment, or, it doesn't say and, it says or, completion of a Blackboard attendance module. Now, I'll tell you, there's two things that are going on. One is there are audits being run all the time on Blackboard, and this has been discovered by not just myself, but other faculty members. And I think you could view it as Big Brother is looking over you, and that is pretty much the case. But there's also a compliance issue. So the reason you have to do this attendance, and this conversation is going somewhere besides this, it's basically a federal mandate. So in other words, if the university does not report back to the federal government, that's an entire list of people who attended, just a check box. then the university is liable to pick up the financial aid for those individuals who did not attend, but the university continued to let them enroll. That makes sense. So in other words, the federal government gives a student some money, the student never appears, the university is liable to pay back that money to the government. And so there have been a couple times where a $500,000 bill came to the university to cover that. So they implemented this policy. Now this is not only happening here, it's happening across the country. The other thing that happens is I've seen the edges of this, and I've talked to people who have seen the edge. There's, especially, I think what's going to happen in the next year or two, there's going to be a clampdown across universities on how assignments are even turned in. For example, it's not legal to get federal financial aid to take a correspondence course. So then the question is, what is a correspondence course? And the correspondence course is a course which has no deadline, nor has no assignment deadline. So what that means is I envision the future, the regulators, which there's a set of regulators over all this institution, will come and pluck these records out, and they'll say, well, okay, you're not in compliance, so therefore I don't know how they would approach it, whether they would approach who's liable. Would it be the university, or would it be the student who graduated and suddenly, they are in trouble? I imagine the university would be. So I think anybody who has, and I've allowed this to my own demise and to the demise of several students who tried to turn in everything all in the last couple of weeks and ended up having to repeat the course. So I'm not going to do that anymore. And it turns out this framework will allow that to occur, and it will also allow a very regimented approach towards completing your work. Now, what the downside is, you'll have to go by this mastering of engineering code thing. So you'll get online textbooks. Did anybody go to the bookstore? And so did you get a code, or did you get a little sheet of paper? What did you get? Okay, so here's the cool thing about that. That code, so when you burrow into this site, there is a thing, welcome to mastering engineering. It's the first thing. So they gave me this little thing. You can put any one of these. So what I do is I put them all out there. So this is all the information that's available to you. If, for example, you're going and doing an assignment and Blackboard is squirrely, believe it or not, you can get around it and go straight to the Pearson and log in and do the assignment there. Now, you complete the assignment, and what happens, it may take, if Blackboard is acting squirrely, it may take a little bit of time, but the grades are automatically shoved back over into Blackboard. But you can complete them over there. It may take a few minutes for them. I noticed that it took a delay, and that, I don't know which end, but my guess is it was the Blackboard end. And probably the Pearson was trying to put them in there, and it was saying, I'm not available. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the material out here. Whoops, hang on. So there'll be a little bit of a delay. And let's go in and take a look at the e-text. So once you go in there, you'll probably have to go to this mastering engineering to figure out where do you put your code in. And Pearson sign in, you'll get something like that. Well, okay, hang on. Okay, so there's the Pearson sign in. And I'm, of course, give it a second. Well, and then you'll have to give it a second there as well. So now the key is, I don't know what you're going to see on your end. I know what I see on my end, and I see the 3 courses with the green bars, and it's going to slide up in a second. And then I see some blue bars that are like instructor resource. Now this is not a tech thing, but it is connected to tech. So if you went here and did your assignment, it would post it back. But if you want to use the calendar, you can use the calendar there on the Blackboard site. In other words, sorry for the delay, but I'll go back over to the content, and then I'll go to course calendar and give it a second. So we'll have to give it another second or two. And it's a good thing I'm not planning to do much past this, because this is a painful delayed system. Okay. So I should have been paying closer attention when it came up. There is, give it a second. Okay, so I went forward into September. Now there's some assignments right there that are due on the 11th. Now the 31st is the Mastering of Engineering thing. And so that is the thing that you go in and so it has assignments that are interactive. In other words, work this problem. And then there's some that say the assignment is watch this video. Most of the videos I've noticed are 7 or 8 minutes, and they're not really much past that. So I think the key here is if I go and hover, or maybe the fact that the screen is not that big. Anyway, you can hover over these things or click them, and it should take you to them. And this is it'll pop up in a second. So there's the dynamics one. So you can see them in the calendar, but you can also work them over here. And if you go to content, let me take you back. Now everything that's accessible in here is accessible over there. It's just how you get to it. I don't know why Blackboard itself is slow. And then so here I'm gonna go into the e-text. I'm also going to go into a couple of the other sources. So actually I've been fairly impressed with the way they've got this thing set up. It's done pretty well. So the way I'm going to do things, I'll go back to grading in a second. Okay. Wait, so it won't be long before a lot of people are not. So if you see the book here, you can see the entrance. There's the book itself. Over on the left is these bars that give you the table of contents, and I'll be going to it in a second. I may have to, yeah, I got this thing. I may have to start broadcasting from that instead of this, because this secondary delay is not very good. So you can see, if you go down, he's got this thing kind of strangely done. He's got several things like a dedication, copyright, that appear to be their own chapters, but they're really not. So if you hit the chapter bar, which you'll see in a minute, and then you hit introduction, it just takes you right there. You know, it's kind of like a hyperlink thing to take you to the individual location. So I found the table of contents to be kind of beneficial to moving around in this thing. And then you got this big X up on the top that you can get rid of it. And then of course I've got a touch screen. I'll start doing the thing next time. It's set up. If you look at the textbook, which I have a copy of, it's exactly the same, except in here you'll have the ability to look at um, videos and stuff. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to go to the right. Okay. You get rid of the table of contents too. You'll see me mess with the table of contents, but then I navigate off that bottom. Give it a second. Now I'm caught between 2 or 3 delays. There's a delay of getting the stuff to here, then I'm broadcasting out, and then I'm coming back to here. So I'm getting double whammied on this. So I'll figure out how to do this off of that. Maybe I'll do that starting Friday. So it'll be some adjustment. So wow, internet here is unbelievably slow. Now, the key is also there's going to be assignment due date's going to be Sunday night around midnight. I think that's kind of a default. And I've got the thing set so that it will drop about. So in other words, if you miss the deadline, you lose points by when you turn the thing in. So it deducts points as you go through each day. The key here is, oh, and also you have 5 attempts, and for some reason it said you'd have 6 attempts inside of each 5 attempts. So that I don't understand. So that might mean 30 attempts. I don't know. So there's plenty of time to attempt them, and they're going to be posted in the grade book as points. So let's say assignment 1 has 5 questions. Inside of each one, sometimes they'll ask 2 questions inside of each problem. So it seems to me what they're doing is each question you answer gets a point, and then they just add up. So I'm just gonna, there are going to be 3 categories in the grade book. One is the homework, which will just add up. I think I'll just call it homework 1, 2, and 3, and that, and so forth. And then what'll happen is I'm going to do a weekly test, so to speak, or he classifies it as a quiz. And what that is I'm going to go in, let's say there's a set of problems that I give. I'm going to generally just pluck one of those out and repeat it on a quiz on a Friday. So you can come here and take the quiz, or you can go over there and take the quiz, or wherever you think your internet may be the best. And on that, I'm going to start the quiz at the beginning of the time, and I'm going to let it go an hour after. And then what I'll do is start deducting, let it deduct, a few points every hour after that. So then that way, I don't know how many people are going to want to come here to take it. I mean, how many people do want it? I mean, now if you're right over next door, and then you got a class after this, I can see doing that. But if it's 9 o'clock, and if you don't have a class at 8, anybody have a class at 8? Oh, you do? Where's the class at? Oh, it's over there. How's the internet over there compared to here? Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I do, and I've done this many times. Have you ever used yours as a hotspot, your phone as a hotspot? I find that that's faster than here. So what I do is I generally just open it up, go to hotspot. I basically hotspot. So this connects to my phone, and this is to me more reliable than here, because everybody seems like, to me, I think the key is the number of personnel you can put on a task. We all probably amongst us, everybody, there's probably 30 of us. What is that? 30 times at least $100 a month. That's a lot of money being dumped on these things. So that gives them a lot of people in order to make the network connection right and buy the best equipment. But your tuition kind of gets split apart. I think there's a fee on there for technology, and then they don't have as many personnel here as say some other campuses or things. So it's really hard to get things done, when you don't have the funds. So these people, supply have better infrastructure than these people, you know. So it's got all this stuff here. It's exactly like the book. I don't know. I didn't look through this to see if there was a video in this section, but if you go down, you'll start seeing videos embedded in here. And it looks like I'm getting to the bottom. Oh, there's a video. Now, here's what's funny. Okay, so I'm sitting here looking at a video. It's inside the Pearson, and this one's 8 minutes and 14 seconds long. Now, what I did is I put a content here, and there was an area here that, give it a second, there's an area here called the study area. And it says access the self-study area to watch videos, animations, take practice quizzes, and more. And your work in the study area does not report to your instructor's grade book. So if you go into the study area, you can practice a little extra. But what I've found about that is there's kind of seems to be a little bit of a repeat here. And what I mean by that, give it a second. Now this is, in this one, okay, so this one is different than statics, which is different than fluids. This one has, okay, let it come up. So it's got video solution. And instead of making it do that, I'm going to right click and open it in a new tab. And then it has interactive figures, which I think that's kind of cool. And then it's got free body diagram practice. I had to make sure. In papers from e-text. I don't even know what that is. In papers. So I'm just going to open all those because they'll all take a while to come up anyway. Oh no. Oh, never mind. It launches its own. Okay, so here. Let's see if it's going to launch a new. Oh, no, it won't let you do that. So what you'll find is, okay, give it a second. I went to video solution. And so if you look at video solutions, you'll see particle kinematics. Let's just say section 1.1. You hit that, 1.2. You hit that thing, it'll go over here. Has a funny address. Okay, now that's different than, so he's going to solve that problem. Take 9 minutes to solve that problem. But in here, some of the stuff is repeated. Some of it is not. So in other words, there occasionally you will find, okay, so I'm not finding it this time, but occasionally you'll find the information that's in the book. Let's see if I can find the book again. In other words, sometimes you'll find this, the book video is over in the other section. But apparently it seems like that's not always the case. So some of these are actually pretty good. The thing is again, it's a question of the masses. If you really think about it, there's 86,000. Okay, that's it. This is the old figures. Like 86, 87,000 people to go through statics. I'm assuming that I'm talking about nationwide. I'm assuming a lot of them go through dynamics too, but let's just take the 86,000. This book, as well as two others, this one is the predominant book. Probably 40% of campuses use it. If this is the case and they're all going to this standard, what you're going to find is that, you hit the dynamic, you'll find that there's a wealth of platforms to test something. So in other words, when you're working a problem, probably 50,000 people have already worked it. So what happens is, let me let this come up and I'll show you what I see on my side. And I'm just going to go to something that I've already done. I'll just go to that homework. I have to give it a second. It needs to reshuffle a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to do an edit. And then it'll populate that, and I'll probably have to scroll down to see everything. Because in my house, I mean, I've got nice equipment in my house and a nice connection. I don't have floppy stuff there. So if you go down, I'm going to do save and continue because I'm not going to change anything. Okay. Okay, so what you see is these bars here. Hang on. So there's a whole pile of them, but all of them, I can go in and say, okay, I'm not interested in making an assignment there, but let's say kinematic to a particle. Give it a second. I'm not enough yet. It's supposed to populate that. Must be a, okay. There we go. All right, it populated, took it its own sweet time. But here's the key. I'll just slide down and look at it in general. Okay, so now I'll have to wait for it to move to where I'm looking at. So now I'll hover over one of these things and see. Now I'll have to wait for it to hover over there. Okay. Okay, now I'm hovered over it. So you can see, I think, I can't see it there, but I can see it here. It says 87.6% answered correctly. So this is for thousands and thousands of people. So these are well tested. To me, it's kind of important that you know how to do the material. So you'll have to buy the code or whatever it is. You don't have to go to the bookstore. You can apparently purchase it by burrowing down through here. But if you want to, you get the code, and then if you did that, you go here, and then you enter the code, and you'll have to, I've never done that, because, you know, so I'd like you to maybe share, if you could do it next time and share with the rest of the class how you did it, so that we all know how to do it. I mean, I have to learn something on my end that's a little bit different than yours. So it'd be nice to share that information with everybody. So I'm going to basically rely on the system. We'll do homeworks that are due every Sunday. We'll do a little quiz that I'll just sort of extract a problem or something similar and put over there for a Friday quiz. You can come here. The way, here, hang on. Let me go back to this content. I think if I'm lucky, yeah. So the way I'm going to do the grading is, give it a second. I don't know how long it's going to take for this to come up. Okay, there we go. Well, okay. I got to wait for it to show up there. So I'll be definitely switching to this instead of using my own stuff. There's some troubles with that one in that the screen is squished, but I think if I do this, that goes away. Yeah. So I'm just going to do 40% off of the homework, 40% off those Friday quizzes, which I'm going to pluck from one to the other. The difference of the quiz and the homework, besides the name, is that you won't have 50 tries on the quiz. You know, the quiz will just be one problem selected. More times than you'll be able to count, it'll be something that you have seen or something that's very similar to what you've seen. Then the final is something that's mandated. And of course, there's the grade scale. So I'm trying to make it minimal stuff rammed down your throat because I don't want to generate a lot of material that's superfluous and doesn't have any meaning. So to me, I want to focus it on the path of working the problem. And so I'd say the whole system is going to be operating off of that. Now, what I will do is I'll show up here Mondays and Wednesdays and Friday. And Friday, I'll just flop around or something. But, you know, if you guys start not, if y'all stay in Corley or something, eventually I may notice that. And I may say, well, I'll just go to my office and Friday so you can take your test. But I'm going to be coming in Mondays and Wednesdays for sure and just setting up this. But apparently, I think I'm going to be doing this instead. It has a pen and everything else, so it does the same thing. It's just it won't have the lag between here and the other. And so I'm going to broadcast out on this thing. And so if you're in Corley and you just don't want to show up, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't care. I mean, I do care. Don't get me wrong. I have learned from January to today that by sitting beside people that was in a course this summer doing a Python thing, and I was kind of shocked at the way people learned, and it made perfect sense. And when I did that, I was like, okay, I sort of get it now. So this was the comment that was relayed to me. I doubled the speed because the guy talked so slow, and he's, Southern, but this person that was teaching the class was from Michigan. So the guy talks so slow that if there's too many pauses, I either get distracted or I fall asleep. I'm from a generation that we have cell phones and we have Google, so I have to listen very fast. And I was like, okay. So I'm watching people and I'm like, this is crazy. And then I started realizing, well, maybe it's not that crazy because a 30-minute lecture could be 15 minutes, or an hour lecture could be 30 minutes, and then you go on. If it's the fact that you get bored in class, I mean, I'm not very entertaining. I'm pretty boring, so I'm not an entertainer. If I was, I'd be getting a better paycheck probably. But I mean, and some of this stuff is very dry, so I could see, and in the Python class, it was kind of dry. I mean, it was kind of like, okay, here's what we do. We're gonna do this next, we're gonna do that next, and pretty soon it was like, okay, he's talking about something else. It's ridiculous. What am I doing next? And then you'd wait a second and he'd start it. So they would be speeding it up and they'd be, okay, we're done. I'm like, oh, okay. So I understand that. I mean, I listen to myself and it makes me want to puke. So if I speed it up, I mean, I sound smarter. If I could figure out how to get a British accent, it'd be really great. But I don't want to do that. It's a waste of time. So first, everything is there. Second, you'll have to pick up the code either from the bookstore or you may be able to burrow into here. If you go to that Mastering Engineering. Now, the other thing is that Pearson has a phone number that you can call, and they've got tons of people. But again, it's a scaling issue. And if there was 30,000 of us sitting in Dynamics, and 15,000 of them are in the Pearson course, they're going to have 24/7 bunch of people sitting there answering phones because you're using their website. So the scalability is they got the personnel to make the problem, they got the data to show whether this problem is good or not, and in fact, there are some problems that are repeated. If you go here, you'll find, okay, the screen is kind of squished on mine. If I had my 4K monitor and 4K projector, you could see it all. Sometimes there are problems that have, okay, here we go. Oh, geez. We'll have to wait to, anyway, it's got problem 1217. It has the problem described. And then it's got 1217 again. And what is interesting, okay, so we're there, but I'm not, let it roll up. You'll see 1217. Okay, so look at that. There's 1217, and then there's 1217 again. One of them has hints and feedback. One of them doesn't. So obviously, on a homework, you would get this one. On a test, you would get that one. But notice on the right, this is the part that I find intriguing. And it's been, you can argue different things, and I wonder about the statistics
because, you know, a professor is choosing the problem to give to the student. So if you look at it, look at how the things are different. The red, there's even like, there's a non-existent orange here. So the statistics they're gathering are completely different. It tells you about the time it would take to do the problem. And this is like a complexity number or something. And it's like a rating of a complexity. So when you're picking problems, you know, I'm going to be trying to pick these for the homework. And I've got to sit and stare at which ones would be good ones for the test, but there's a good chance if I can find it enhanced, I'll turn around and put something like that on the test. Now, there are other problems I can put on the test too that are real simple. There's one that's a matching, so it comes up and it says, okay, has this bar across there, it says the units here. Slide the units, so you grab this and slide down to here. And I think it was 5 different choices and 5 different boxes. You're supposed to move the things around. So there's other activities besides just, you know, run out this number. So I think we're all going to be, I'm experimenting on you and you're experimenting on me. But I think the end result is, one, I think we're just going to go through this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, probably not going to do it next time, but I'm probably going to try to fill in and see where you are, and like if somebody has like, yeah, I did the number and this is what I did, and you want to show the rest of the class something, how you went about getting your number versus somebody else. Because I'd like you to do that, because then for me, that's nice, because in a way, it would let me see what you have to do to go through this, because I don't get to see that, and that's kind of unfortunate. Somebody wants the room now, so I guess I pretty much wasted your hour, but I hope that so come next time, and if y'all have any issues, so you can go back in and burrow in, get the number, and if you have trouble, we'll try to find the phone number for them and make sure everybody has it.